At number 10 is Batman. Yeah, that's right, I'm starting off my list with a hero. Sue me. Batman possesses a unique challenge to Superman, primarily due to his strategic mind and preparedness. See, not only does Batman carry kryptonite on him at all times, keeping him strapped, which is, as we all know, the Man of Steel's ultimate weakness, but he's also a billionaire with the resourcefulness to match his intellect. This combination of absolute wealth and absolute cunning makes Batman a formidable adversary. Their clashes have produced varying outcomes, showcasing the dynamic nature of their rivalry. Batman's ability to defeat almost any character in the comic book world underscores his prowess. It's often suggested that with enough preparation and time, Batman can take on anyone, even Superman. Their conflict stems from Batman's unease with an alien wielding all this immense power without any accountability, paralleling Lex Luthor's concerns. Superman and Batman, despite both being heroes, share conflicting philosophies on achieving justice. While they both aim for the greater good, their methods sharply differ. In the realm of brutal Superman villains, Batman is a relentless force, not just challenging the Man of Steel's seemingly unstoppable might, but actually overcoming it. At number 9 is Alfred Pennyworth. Alright, I'll promise I'll cover actual villains as soon as I'm done talking about our main man, Alfred. See, Bruce Wayne's unassuming butler holds a hidden brutality so fierce, it makes even Superman quake in his little red boots. In the Injustice comic series, Superman is consumed by a ruthless quest for control after the Joker takes out his wife and makes him go crazy. Superman would then infiltrate the Batcave with the intent to incapacitate Batman. With the Dark Knight left vulnerable and on the brink of defeat, Alfred steps into the ring. Armed with a strength-enhancing super pill supplied to him by Lex Luthor himself, he wages a relentless assault and one-way beating against the Man of Steel. In a shocking turn of events, Alfred headbutts Superman, breaking the hero's nose, and then proceeds to pummel him mercilessly, driving that goody two-shoes face into the unforgiving floor. This surprising triumph stands as a testament to Alfred's unwavering dedication to protecting his surrogate family, showcasing that even the mightiest of superheroes can suffer humiliatingly brutal defeats at the hand of seemingly weaker opponents. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. I would really appreciate if you did do those things because it supports the channel, it's free, and it makes me happy. At number 8 is the Mongol. The Mongol is a formidable intergalactic conqueror who stands as a relentless adversary in Superman's rogues gallery. Hailing from the distant stars, he commands Warworld, a mobile war machine planet that traverses the cosmos seeking conflict. Mongol is honed through training with the Sinestro Corps and possesses unparalleled combat skills and tactical acumen. While overshadowed by the likes of Darkseid, let's say, Mongol and his warlord family persistently vex Superman. At number 7 is Green Goblin. Brutal Marvel villains like the Green Goblin stand out for their relentless schemes and emotional impact on superheroes, and Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin showcased an unmatched level of villainy by orchestrating Gwen Stacy's tragic demise, creating an event that scarred Spider-Man emotionally. This act solidified the Green Goblin as Spider-Man's most formidable adversary, inflicting profound psychological torment on the Wallcrawler. His manipulation from the Clone Saga to causing Peter Parker to be the unwitting catalyst in Gwen Stacy's fall emphasizes the depth of the Green Goblin's cruelty. Notably, even when compared to other antagonists like Dr. Octopus, it's the emotional toll that the Green Goblin inflicts that makes him stand out. The intricacies of the emotional trauma inflicted upon Peter Parker by the Green Goblin's actions illustrate the unparalleled impact of this brutal Marvel villain. At number 6 is the evil Hulk from Age of X. In Age of X, the X-Men had found themselves entrenched in a never-ending battle against their extinction, defending their last mutant stronghold against the mutant-hating Avengers. This era reshaped the Avengers into a government-backed mutant hunting unit where Dr. Bruce Banner, involved in mutant experiments, inadvertently underwent a horrific transformation. The Hulk's tragic metamorphosis, triggered during a mutant sterilization experiment gone awry, resulted in a devastating loss of control. His uncontrollable rage led to the brutal demise of his colleagues and even his fiancée, fueling an intense animosity towards mutants for some reason. Unbeknownst to many, his role in the Avengers was a last-ditch strategy, if they failed, a plan that led to his demise when he attempted to unleash a chemical on Fortress X. This Hulk stands as a chilling reminder of the brutal force that, even in the face of adversity, cannot be easily subdued. At number 5 is Bullseye. Bullseye is a menacing figure in the Marvel Universe, embodying the epitome of relentless brutality. A mercenary with a chilling penchant for evil, his proficiency in wielding various projectiles elevates him to a league of his own. His lethal accuracy with any thrown weapon renders him a formidable adversary. Not just a master of hand-to-hand combat, Bullseye boasts combat skills that would rival even the most elite fighters in the Marvel Universe. Now, what sets Bullseye apart is his unwavering passion for combat, relishing in every moment as if it were his raison d'etre. His very essence thrives in the chaos of battle, a disturbingly eerie smile etched on his face throughout. Not even driven by profit, but the sheer enjoyment of his grisly craft, Bullseye's commitment to his malevolent inclinations is unwavering. His existence aligns with the philosophy that doing what one loves negates the notion of working, even if it involves the unthinkable, perhaps even eliminating people for free. At number 4 is the Void. The Void is the alter ego of Sentry, which stands as one of the most relentless villains in the Marvel Universe. As an embodiment of darkness and brutality, it mirrors Sentry's own inner turmoil. This duality makes the Void an adversary unlike any other. The idea of the Void was implanted in Sentry's mind, creating a cycle where defeating the Void becomes an endless battle. The Void's return is inevitable because it's rooted in Sentry's psyche, an integral part of his being. And despite temporary victories, the return of this villain symbolizes the enduring challenge of conquering one's inner demons. The ongoing struggle between Sentry and the Void is an age-old battle between light and darkness within oneself. At number 3 is Magneto. His actions throughout various storylines showcase his unwavering commitment to his cause, often through brutal and unforgiving methods. The iconic Fatal Attraction storyline demonstrated his sheer power as he forcibly removed the adamantium from Wolverine's skeleton, an act that showcased his capacity for extreme brutality. And throughout his history, Magneto's vengeful nature has led to devastating consequences. From attacking San Francisco with mutant unaliving sentinels to sinking Soviet submarines in response to governmental insolence, his actions highlight the extremities to which he's willing to go for his beliefs. The Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, an embodiment of his antagonistic approach, contradicts the very idea of peaceful coexistence Xavier aims for within the X-Men. And in instances like the House of M, his rash actions led to the tragic loss of countless lives, such as against his own son Pedro. One of the most chilling instances demonstrating his mercilessness was when he gruesomely used just a paperclip to inflict fatal injuries on a scientist who resisted his interrogation. At number 2 is Sabretooth. In the world of Marvel, Sabretooth stands as a relentless nemesis, to say the least. Vicious history with the X-Men is a testament to his brutal nature. Notably, his vendetta against Wolverine is particularly savage. Sabretooth's actions extend beyond direct assaults on Logan, often targeting those closest to him, inflicting intense emotional and physical pain. A chilling example is Sabretooth's twisted tradition of attacking Wolverine on his birthday, rooted in a tragic event where he unalived Logan's partner, Silver Fox. The psychological torment doesn't stop there either. He orchestrated events that led to Wolverine tragically having to end his own son's life. Manipulation and cruelty define Sabretooth's character, making him an adversary not just in physical prowess, but also in psychological warfare. There is literally no act too morally scummy for Sabretooth. And at number 1 is Venom, a character both feared and adored. He's evolved from a ruthless supervillain to an anti-hero in the Marvel Universe. First appearing in The Amazing Spider-Man number 299, Venom's introduction was nothing short of menacing. Not only did he terrify Mary Jane, leaving her traumatized, but he also engaged in a lethal encounter in Our Lady of Saints Church, breaking the sanctity of the place by eliminating a police officer. These horrific acts just set the tone for Venom's malevolence. The character's brutality continued with the likes of Black Cat, whom he physically and emotionally harmed, and not to mention his actual brain eating, a horrific event that was seen in Venom: The Hunger number 1. Venom's dark history extended to Anne Wang, whose association with the symbiote ended tragically and Lee Price, a host who willingly used the symbiote for brutal homicidal acts. The character exhibited a level of violence and evil surpassing that of many other villains, culminating in his involvement in planetary mass unaliving. The Venom's progression from villain to anti-hero is marked by a series of abhorrent deeds, showcasing a complex character torn between dark impulses and occasional acts of At number 10 is Deadpool. Although we're finally gonna see Logan and Wade finally team up in Deadpool 3, let's not forget Deadpool's tumultuous cinematic history as Logan's adversary. Remember that early incarnation in X-Men Origins Wolverine? Yeah, the one where Ryan Reynolds played the Wade Wilson without the mouth, and therefore lacked the iconic banter and charm that we associate with Deadpool today. Blame it on the 07 writer's strike, which left many movies in disarray, but hey, at least we got the big showdown with Wolverine. I mean, that's what we all wanted, right? It's hard to deny that Wade Wilson's appearance in this film was a truly rough start. But thankfully, we've come a long way since then with a much beloved Deadpool franchise that has made fans forget about the dark days of that early portrayal. And I know Logan and Wade are going to team up and be all buddy-buddy in the new movie, but there isn't a chance that the two aren't gonna duke it out at some point in the new film. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Ogun is a formidable adversary in the Wolverine saga who possessed a unique and terrifying power, the ability to cheat being unalive. Initially, Ogun served as Wolverine's teacher and mentor, their bond akin to that of a father and son. However, their fates took a very dark turn one fateful night when Wolverine discovered Ogun's horrifying secret. You see, his ultimate goal was to gain the ability to abandon his own body and then possess others, granting him limitless power and everlasting youth. Wolverine, sensing the danger, fled before Ogun could execute his nefarious plan and possess Logan's body. Ogun's malevolence knew no bounds, even surviving a brief stint in HE double hockey sticks. He once temporarily took control of Kitty Pryde's body, only to meet his match by Wolverine's unwavering resolve. If you're enjoying this video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. I would really appreciate it, and so would these claws. At number 8 is Rough House. In the gritty world of Madripoor, Wolverine faced off against some seriously tough villains, and Rough House was no exception. This hulking powerhouse made his debut in Wolverine's 1988 series, causing chaos alongside General Koi in a bid for control over Madripoor's criminal underworld. Now, Rough House's origins are a bit mysterious. Some say he got his powers from being related to Asgardians, you know, like Thor, while others think he might be a mutant. It's a little bit unclear. Now, despite their fierce rivalry, Wolverine has still stepped in to save Rough House from the clutches of the sinister Geist, who I'm pretty sure we're gonna cover later on. For Logan, experimenting on people is a big no-no considering his past, and he wasn't about to let it slide, even for a villain. So, in the world of Wolverine, even the most brutal villains can sometimes find themselves on the receiving end of a helping hand. At number 7 is Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is the most obvious contender on this list, and for good reason. Lex is widely known as Superman's arch nemesis, despite the fact that the only thing he's got going for him is his vast intellect. Now, despite his apparent lack of superpowers, Lex has been able to outsmart Superman a countless number of times. He's even directly responsible for the creation of many of Superman's other villains, some of whom will get their own spot later on this list. Stick around for those. Most of his successful evil plans involve the use of a machine he's invented, like whenever he drains Superman's powers into himself, or that time he convinced Superman to join the Legion of Supervillains after erasing his memory using a device he called the Amnesia-inator. I mean, the memory expunger. Not as cool. But inventing machines isn't all he's good for. As it turns out, this slimy dude's also good at inventing political narratives too. He's gone on political endeavors many times over his villainous career, and not only has he successfully used his position in office to create laws and policies that benefited him personally, just like every other politician, but he's also convinced the citizens of Metropolis of Superman's threat to their safety on more than one occasion. These very few few examples alone make it easy to understand where Lex Luthor's notoriety comes from. At number 6 is Mr. Mxyzptlk, whose name is so fun to pronounce that I'm just gonna call him Mr. M for the rest of the video. Mr. M is a mischievous 5th dimensional imp, which, for all of you who don't speak nerd, essentially means that he's a godlike magical trickster. Although in most stories he's pretty harmless, this cosmic equivalent of an internet troll can stir up more commotion than even Superman can handle. Unlike a certain pink Ditto wannabe that we know, Mr. M's potential for destruction is far more limitless than any of the characters on this list can even manage, because Mr. M is so powerful that practically anything goes. Back in '89, he humiliated Superman by crafting a fantasy world in which he was the ruler and Superman was his obedient servant. In '91, he aged Superman rapidly until he became an old man too weak to defend Metropolis from Mr. M's ensuing wrath. In '95, he even created an even more powerful version of himself, and Superman was left with no other recourse but to beg Mr. M to help put an end to his more powerful self. His power is truly limitless. It's like having the power of a genie, the mischief of a leprechaun, and the hairstyle of Weird Al Yankovic all rolled into one. At number 5 is Darkseid. There are some villains that Superman is simply no match for. So when the tyrannical ruler of the aptly named planet Apokolips is wreaking havoc, it takes the combined efforts of each member of the Justice League to take him down. His most iconic means of world domination sees him utilizing the anti-life equation to impose his will on any and all sentient beings. But when he's not using magic math, Darkseid tyrannizes his opponents by other various means of manipulation, including emotional, technological, and psychological manipulation, which has allowed him to, for example, take an advantage of the Time Trapper's powers in an attempt to pull a Biff from Back to the Future 2, or the various times he's compelled Superman into unwittingly doing his bidding. But if he's really all that genius, maybe he should be trying to discover the anti-losing equation instead. At number 4 is Parasite. Personally, I find this villain's appearance to be brutally revolting, earning this anthropomorphic tumor our number 4 spot. Jokes aside, the Parasite of the DC Universe is a major force to be reckoned with, as his primary superpower is the ability to steal superpowers from others. Admittedly, however, as versatile as this power sounds, it leads to pretty predictable outcomes. Parasite comes along, feeds off Superman, who then, in a weakened state, has to figure out how to either get his powers back or defeat the Parasite in some other way. Thankfully, we finally got to see this formula get altered in Superman Batman number 23 to 25 back in 2005, with the introduction of an army of superpowered minion parasites, which is pretty fun. Ultimately, as predictable as the encounters against Parasite may be, his powers are so OP that he nonetheless deserves a spot here on this list. At number 3 is Brainiac. Sometimes an android, sometimes a cyborg, but always an alien, Brainiac is yet another evil genius that joins us today on our list. Brainiac relies on his advanced tech to cause disruption. In one issue from '83, he merged with Lex Luthor's body and used their combined intellect to create a more powerful body for himself. And in a story from 2002, whose plot sounds like it should have been released in 1999, Brainiac infects Metropolis with the computer virus, causing mass chaos and destruction. But the evil plans Brainiac is probably most well known for have to do with this hobby of shrinking and collecting entire cities and planets. He's miniaturized Kandor and Metropolis on multiple occasions, and even the Man of Steel himself, with the goal as lofty as the recreation, or sometimes destruction, of the entire universe. You can bet that Brainiac is an unstoppable force to be reckoned with. At number 2 is Doomsday. This villain is famously responsible for the very demise of Superman, and also his various doppelgangers, easily making him one of the most powerful people on this list. He's known for his incredible strength and invulnerability, but not so much for his sophisticated evil plans. They usually just amount to wipe out as many people and Kryptonians as possible. Although Although in the Superman Doomed storyline from 2014, Doomsday manages to infect Superman with a virus that slowly turns him into a Doomsday-like creature, gradually becoming more unstable and violent, and also aesthetically pleasing, if I do say so myself. And at number 1 is General Zod. This classic Kryptonian had been exiled into the Phantom Zone by the leaders of Krypton prior to the planet's destruction, and Zod, along with his super goons, managed to escape and attempted to conquer Earth. And although Superman managed to put an end to Zod's plans back then, Zod has persisted long enough to see a few victories of his own. Zod's been able to actualize his dreams of conquest not just on Earth, but also on planet Daxam, New Krypton, and even the original Krypton in alternate timelines. While Zod's plans may have seen successes, let's not forget that at the end of the day, he spends most of his time in the Phantom Zone, aka Cosmic Timeout.
Number 10, Joker. The Joker is infamous for his lethal nature and chaotic behavior. He uses his expertise in chemical engineering to create deadly weapons such as razor-tipped playing cards, acid-spraying lapel flowers, and deadly joy buzzers. His disregard for human life and unpredictable nature make him a formidable foe for any hero. He has caused multiple tragedies in Gotham City, leading to the death and injury of many different people. The Joker's complete lack of empathy and morals, coupled with his willingness to go to extreme lengths to achieve his goals, make him an exceptionally deadly character in the world of comics and an exceptional foe for not just Batman, but the Justice League as well. During the modern era, Joker has joined up with the Injustice League in an effort to defeat the whole premier superhero roster, and also targeted the whole team all by himself following the events of Endgame, manipulating them into mistrusting Batman and using them as weapons when he turned them against the Dark Knight. And for reference, if you're wondering when I say Endgame if I'm talking about the right publisher, I am. DC also had an Endgame event too. I know it's confusing. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, be sure to show us that you love us by clicking that like button, especially if you like when we talk about villains. I know I love to talk about villains. I hope you love it too. Number 9, Maxwell Lord. Maxwell Lord's power set has changed over time, but the fact remains that when it comes to taking control or influencing others in the DC universe, he's one of the best. He has taken control of the minds of some of the most powerful heroes in DC, such as Superman and Martian Manhunter. And because his powers have fluctuated over his history as a character, so have his power levels, with him at one point being able to extend his telepathic reach to manipulate the minds of billions at a time on Earth. Number 8, Amazo. In 1960, Amazo debuted as a powerful villain in The Brave and the Bold, issue number 30, to challenge the Justice League of America, created by Gardner Fox and Mike Sekowsky. Amazo is no ordinary android though. He possesses technology that allows him to replicate the abilities and powers of the superheroes that he battles. This gives him a significant advantage in combat, making him an opponent to be reckoned with. Additionally, Amazo can even duplicate his opponent's weapons, making him an even more challenging adversary. The Flash, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern make up the roster that Amazo initially faced, and as such, these are usually the power sets he possesses by default.
At number 7 is Romulus, who burst onto the scene in Wolverine Volume 3, issue number 55. He spun a tale of prehistoric origins, claiming a kinship with the Lupine, a unique breed of feral humans tied to canine evolution. However, his narrative unraveled in Wolverine Volume 2, issue 312, when Ramus exposed his falsehood, revealing Romulus' deceitful tactics. Despite his tall tales, Romulus possessed a regenerative healing factor akin to Wolverine's, granting him remarkable resilience. In their epic clashes, Romulus brought a lethal arsenal to the fight. His black gloves, which adorned 4 blades instead of 3, proved formidable adversaries against Logan's adamantium claws. 3 of these blades mirrored Logan's own, while the 4th, a thumb-like appendage, added an unexpected twist to their confrontations. In this realm of thumb wars, Romulus emerged as the undisputed champion, making him a relentless adversary in Wolverine's rogues gallery. Number 6 is Razor Fist, a dude with literal blades instead of hands. Now, he may sound like a comic villain straight out of your wildest dreams, but hey, he's as real as they come in the Marvel Universe. Now, imagine this. You're Wolverine, the guy with the unbreakable claws and the super healing powers, obviously, and you've tangled with all sorts of baddies, but Razor Fist, he's a special kind of trouble. See, Razor Fist isn't packing any superpowers. He's just a regular dude with a serious case of Edward Scissorhands. The first time Wolverine faced him, he got thrown off a cliff. Ouch. But the next round, Wolverine showed him who's boss. Razor Fist even tried to tangle with Hawkeye, thinking that he could chop off the guy's arm for a prize. Not so good of a move, buddy. In a world of mutants and superheroes, it looks like sometimes all you need is a pair of razor-sharp blades to make a name for yourself. At number 5 is Geist. Nikolaus Geist is a twisted scientist from the WW2 era Germany, who is a real piece of work to say the least. He aimed to make super soldiers for the bad guys, just like Captain America for the good guys. His guinea pig was a bruiser named Roughhouse. But then Wolverine came in, the ultimate hero, swooping in to save Roughhouse and freeing him, and giving a Geist a taste of his own medicine by individually stripping away each of his own cyborg parts. Damn. Now the thing is, Geist was tougher than a cockroach. Despite looking unalive, he somehow crawled back from the brink. But life is cruel. Magneto, another mutant, eventually put the kibosh on him. So Geist's mad scientist reign didn't last long, thanks to the unstoppable force that is Wolverine. At number 4 is Magneto. One of Wolverine's most brutal defeats was dealt by none other than the X-Men nemesis himself. In 1993's Fatal Attractions crossover, Magneto returns with the Acolytes to take on the X-Men. Now things got intense when Wolverine goes head-to-head with Magneto. Now this battle was iconic because the writers finally realized that Magneto's whole shtick is magnetism over metallic objects, and Wolverine's skeleton just so happens to be coated in adamantium metal. Now, until now, Wolverine had been letting Logan off easy. That is, until Wolverine gets too close and nearly guts Magneto, and so the villain retaliates by ripping the indestructible adamantium metal right off of Wolverine's skeleton. The metal is forcefully torn off of his bones and seeped out of the pores of his skin in an excruciatingly painful process. A jaw-dropping moment that left Wolverine on the brink of his demise. What's even crazier, that this was the very first issue where we found out that Wolverine's claws were actually bone all along. This iconic defeat had a huge impact, not just on Wolverine, but on the entire Marvel Universe. At number 3 is Silver Samurai. Silver Samurai, aka Kenichiro Harada, is a formidable Wolverine villain. He's not just any swordsman, he's a mutant with a unique power. You see, he can create a Tychon field and channel it through his sword, making it super crazy sharp. Think of it like basically a lightsaber, but even more lethal. In a 2020 Cable comic, Wolverine wanted to spar with him for fun, but Silver Samurai was all, "Are you trying to give everyone on the island a marker?" Translation, he was pretty sure he could wipe the floor with Wolverine, especially since Logan recently lost to a younger version of Cable. So imagine a guy who can turn his sword into a weapon of mass destruction facing off against Wolverine. Showdown you wouldn't want to miss. Wolverine's healing factor might be amazing, but Silver Samurai's Tychon charged sword makes him a brutal villain who's a real pain to stop. And number 2 is Sabretooth. Sabretooth, aka Victor Creed, might not be the biggest, baddest villain in the Marvel Universe, but when it comes to messing with Wolverine, he's a real pain in the adamantium. Sabretooth and Wolverine are like two sides of the same coin. They both have those cool claws and healing factors that make them so tough to take down. But what makes Sabretooth so brutal is that he's not just about his physical beatdown. You see, he's got a wicked sense of humor and a knack for getting under Wolverine's skin. Imagine this guy showing up at your birthday party every year just to ruin it. That's basically Sabretooth in a nutshell. But it gets worse. See, Sabretooth once hatched a twisted plan to hurt Wolverine by putting him up against his own son. It ended with Logan having to do the unthinkable, to eliminate his own son to save the day. Talk about heart-wrenching. Sabretooth might not be the strongest, but he sure knows how to mess with Wolverine's head. And coming in at number 1 are the Mongrel. The Mongrels are a multi-crew with names that sound like rejected comic book ideas. However, they are actually, in fact, real comic book characters. But they also carry a dark secret that adds a layer of tragedy to their villainy. So let's break them down. We've got Shadowstalker, Fire Knives, Saw Fist, Gunhawk, and Cannonfoot. Now, what truly sets them apart, aside from their terrible names, is their lineage, or rather their twisted heritage. You see, each and every member of the Mongrels is actually one of Wolverine's offspring, a revelation that only came to light after their individual demises at the hands of the very father they sought to torment. That's right, Wolverine unknowingly exterminated his own bloodline. Now, it probably didn't help that their shared mission was to turn Wolverine's life into a never unending nightmare. While their motivations remain shrouded in mystery, they pursued their vendetta by targeting Logan's loved ones, only to meet their untimely ends by his adamantium claws. The poetic tragedy is that Wolverine chose to bury them near the resting places of their mothers once he had realized that they were his kids.
Number 10. Sleeper. Sleeper, the youngest offspring of Venom, is like the overachiever in the Venom family. Unlike its siblings, Sleeper got a cushy upbringing, incubated safely before bonding with a host. This special treatment comes with its perks. First off, Sleeper skips the whole Spider-Man eye thing. Its appearance is different, and it doesn't have to have those big old white eyes. Also, Sleeper isn't your typical symbiote. It's more mature and chill, maybe a tad smug. What makes Sleeper stand out in the symbiote crowd is its brain power. It's not just a headfirst, impulsive fighter. Thanks to increased cognitive functionality, Sleeper takes a calculated approach to combat. It's so smart that it actually went as far as lobotomizing its host, Tel-Kar, and used him like a puppet to dodge the Kree warrior's influence. Beyond its unique appearance and brains though, Sleeper has cool abilities like bending light to disappear and releasing neurotoxins to knock out its enemies. Oh, and the cutest part, Sleeper can transform into a little kitty cat. How cool is that? It's very cool. It's cute. I like it. Number 9. Toxin. Toxin, the son of Carnage, is like the rock star of symbiotes. He's the 1000th in the line of Venom's descendants, and his raw power is so intense that even the big boss of symbiotes, Null, aka the King in Black, is a little bit freaked out by him. Carnage, Toxin's dad, for lack of a better word, discovers his symbiote pregnancy and, being the oddball that he is, feels both terrified that his kid might outpower him and kind of grossed out that, being a male symbiote, he's technically pregnant, which is weird. Anyhow, Carnage plans to get rid of Toxin, but Venom steps in like the superhero dad that he is. Toxin gets trained by Venom and bonds with a New York City cop named Patrick Mulligan. Thanks to this, Toxin's powers stay in check, and he's all about doing good. His childlike vibe keeps him from going on full power, which is a good thing because this guy is a powerhouse. Toxin is resistant to heat and sound, has killer tracking skills, and basically combines the strengths of both Venom and Carnage together. Plus, he developed a venomous bite very recently, but surviving that is a whole other story. Mulligan gets taken out eventually, and Toxin gets a new gig bonding with Eddie Brock before finding a new host named Bren Waters during the King in Black event. Number 8. Scream/Silence. Scream is one of 5 symbiotes that was created by the Evil Life Foundation after traces of Venom were extracted from Eddie Brock. Scream is by far the most unstable of Venom's offspring, but also one of the most powerful as well. It's at its strongest while bonded with Donna Diego, but even after Donna's passing at Eddie's own hands, Scream still poses a major threat to the world. Now, Andrea Benton was eventually separated from the Mania symbiote after she was possessed by a demonic Hellmark, later bonding with the reborn Scream symbiote. Later, Carnage corrupted the Scream symbiote and Andy used her Hellfire to wipe it out for good, or so she thought. Alchemax actually used the symbiote's remains alongside a sample of the anti-Venom symbiote to create a somewhat brand new symbiote known as Silence, which Andy bonded with, gaining a new corruptive touch, deadly to other symbiotes, as well as the usual symbiote powers, plus the Scream symbiote's hair tendril things.
Number 7. Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage, also known as Vandar Adge, is a formidable adversary who has been terrorizing the world for over, get this, 50,000 years. He possesses advanced healing abilities and immortality, which he gained after coming into contact with the mysterious meteorite during prehistoric times. Despite not being known for necessarily crazy superhuman powers, he is a brilliant strategist and skilled fighter with vast knowledge in various sciences and forms of combat. Over the course of history, he has faced off against other immortals and reincarnating heroes such as Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Immortal Man, and Resurrection Man. He's also proven to be a recurring thorn in the side of the Justice League. In his quest for power and attempts to defeat the JLA, he has even allied himself with organizations such as the Injustice Society and the Legion of Doom. Beware of Vandal Savage, for he's definitely a relentless and cunning villain who will stop at nothing to achieve his goals. And he's got the experience to back it up. Number 6. Brainiac. Brainiac may have been defeated by Superman when he was kicked out of his ship and succumbed to Earth's germs, and yes, that may be the first thing that I personally think of when I think of him, but that one defeat does not define him as a weak villain, especially considering how much he has evolved over the years and how long he's been around. In fact, would you be surprised to hear that Brainiac's strength lies not only in his intellect, but also in his physical abilities? In Geoff Johns' Action Comics 5-part story arc, Brainiac, it was revealed that the previous Brainiac Superman had encountered were more android replicas of the real deal, and that the real Brainiac was far more powerful, both mentally and physically, than all of them combined. This depiction of Brainiac as a formidable foe showcases his true potential and cements his place as a top-tier villain in regards to the Justice League's Rogues Gallery. Number 5. Lex Luthor. Did you know that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster also created Lex Luthor, the notorious villain from DC Comics, just like they also created Superman? Of course, it would make sense they made Superman's #1 villain. He first appeared in Action Comics issue number 23 way back in 1940 and has been Superman's arch enemy ever since. In recent years, he's been portrayed as a power-hungry CEO of LexCorp who wants to rid the world of Superman. He claims it's because Supes is a threat to humanity, but sometimes it seems he's simply jealous of how much people love the Man of Steel. As you can imagine, with his high profile as a supervillain, he's often come into conflict with other superheroes, including Batman, and of course the entire Justice League team. It's interesting to note that despite having no natural superpowers, Lex is a genius with a knack for business and politics, and has a deep understanding of science and technology. This combined with the tech that he's developed makes him a massive threat to the heroes of the DC Universe. Number 4. Anti-Monitor. The Justice League has many powerful villains, but the Anti-Monitor is one of the most terrifying. His control of the antimatter universe and the ability to threaten the multiverse make him an unstoppable force. During Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Anti-Monitor caused massive destruction, and his determination to end everything was truly terrifying. Even after this defeat, the threat remained as Nekron actually held his body, taking it and repurposing it to be used as a power source for the Black Central Power Battery. It's clear that the Anti-Monitor as a villainous multiversal threat should not ever be taken lightly. The lasting impact of the Anti-Monitor and his influence on the DC Universe will not soon be forgotten, as his influence and interference helped to basically reshape the entirety of the continuity and reality. Number 3. Hecate. While they may have not known it at the time, Hecate was also a very powerful Justice League foe. Here, interactions with the Justice League and her manipulation of them were not even actually recognized by the JLA themselves, but instead were taken note of by Justice League Dark, a somewhat loosely sanctioned magical division of the League that operates out of the Hall of Justice's basement and is led by Wonder Woman. While Hecate in the end would be defeated in the pages of Justice League Dark, this was only possible because Wonder Woman was able to use other, more powerful even villains, if you can imagine that, of the Justice League Dark team to defeat Hecate. Basically like pitting those against one another. Number 2. Starro the Conqueror. Starro can literally conquer entire worlds and has in fact done so before, and on more than one occasion they have also almost conquered Earth as well. Starro is a giant space starfish who in their first appearance took on the first formation of the Justice League in The Brave and the Bold issue number 28, where they threatened to, you guessed it, conquer the world! While in the Suicide Squad film, Starro the Conqueror was a cruel nickname given to Starro by the Thinker, who was charged with experimenting on the imprisoned alien. In the comics, it was a name earned by Starro because they had literally conquered so many worlds. Number 1. Darkseid. Jack Kirby, the famed writer, artist, and comic book creator, created Darkseid, who made his first appearance in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, issue 134 in 1970. Darkseid is a tyrannical ruler of the planet Apokolips and is depicted as a new god in his comic book appearances. His ultimate goal is to basically gain control over the anti-life equation and to eliminate all hope and free will in sentient beings, enslaving the multiverse in essence. He is considered one of the most powerful beings in the DC Universe and is known as one of Superman's most formidable enemies and the Justice League's arch nemesis. Darkseid was originally known as Prince Euaxus, the son of King Yuga Khan and Queen Hegra of Apokolips. He seized control of the planet from his older brother Drax by eliminating him when Drax attempted to claim the fabled Omega Force, with Euaxus betraying his brother and of course taking the Omega Force for himself. With this newfound power, Euaxus's skin turned to stone, and he took on a new name, Darkseid. Number 10. Marie Moreau. It's still early days for Marie Moreau, who is a young hero in training at Godolphin University. Her powers are those of hemokinesis. She can use them to attack her opponents, creating dagger-like projectiles. Tragically, Marie's powers first manifested when she had her period, and as a result of the trauma of both learning of her powers and dealing with this new change to her body, she freaked out, causing harm to her mother, who came to check on her, and later her father, who came to check in on them both. Marie's powers are deadly and would be insane to see on a Supes battlefield where there is plenty of, let's just say, ammunition for her to use. It's also possible that she could use her powers to manipulate the blood of others, making her crazy deadly. She hopes to use her powers to change the way that her sister sees her, who of course was also traumatized by the event of Marie's powers surfacing. And friends, before I move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, and if you are also enjoying Gen V as much as I am, be sure to let us know by clicking that like button. Number 9. Kimiko. I always felt like Kimiko is such an underrated character in The Boys, something that is highlighted by her comic book version, who is simply known as the female. Kimiko as a character both in the comic book adaptation and in the series falls into that dangerous Asian stereotypical trope of being a very silent character, the silent Asian trope. She's many in a long list of individuals who have fit that bill in media, especially when we're talking about female characters. However, while Kimiko obviously isn't someone that's verbally speaking in the show, I do love how the issue of how she was portrayed in season 1 was actually taken into account by showrunners who actively tried to combat that stereotype in season 2 and season 3 by giving her character more depth and more to say, although of course not verbally, but at least via her own sign language, which she uses to communicate with. The reason why Kimiko is so unstoppable is because she is so determined to protect those that she loves, and of course she is super strong, super durable, can heal, and is just like not a person that you want to mess with, trust me. Also, even when Kimiko loses her powers, she actually takes them back just to help out the people that she cares about, which I think just shows how much she can't be stopped. Even when tempted by like a normal life, she chooses to do the hard thing just to make sure she can protect other people. Number 8. Jordan Lee. Jordan Lee is considered to be ranked number 2 at Godolphin U. Despite being ranked number 2, Jordan has shown the potential to outrank even Brink's protege. Professor Brinkerhoff is considered one of the lead experts on superheroes, and his intro class is actually required for all those who want to major in crime fighting at Godolphin U. Jordan is the teacher's assistant, aka the TA of Brinkerhoff, and personally rejected Marie's application to sign up for Professor Brinkerhoff's class. If you want to see how that plays out, you should definitely watch the show. Jordan's superpowers grant them 2 different forms, a masculine form and a feminine one, and each one comes with basically different powers. In both forms, Jordan possesses superhuman strength. In their feminine form, they can also emit energy blasts and have enhanced agility, while in their masculine form, they become completely invulnerable to seemingly all types of attacks.
Number 7. Poison. Ever since the first time Venom and Spider-Man bonded, that pesky symbiote would continuously try to merge with Peter Parker, but he would only get halfway before Peter could repel him. Now, what happens if Venom finally gets what he wants? Well, in the What If Spider-Man the Other story, we get to find out. After Peter is semi-defeated by Morlun and he cocoons himself under the Brooklyn Bridge, he is offered the chance to be resurrected by the Spider God, but instead of allowing this like he does in the normal continuity, in this story, Peter refuses and is instead stuck in his cocoon, half alive. Now cut to Venom, who, being Spider-Man's crazy ex-girlfriend, senses the vulnerability of his soulmate and completely ditches his current host, Mac Gargan the Scorpion. He intercepts Peter's body, and after months of struggling inside the cocoon together, monstrously breaking down Peter Parker, Venom fully bonds to Peter. Now the pair are truly one, with all the fully realized powers that come with being a symbiote, which include being able to replicate itself and host more than one body, producing stingers that are strong enough to pierce Luke Cage's skin, and the newly dubbed being known as Poison was even able to resurrect Gwen Stacy in a form that seems to take after Venom's offspring, Carnage. Number 6. Gwenom. Spider-Gwen of Earth-65, or Ghost Spider, which is way cooler, has easily one of the best costumes of all the Spider heroes. Throw in a healthy dash of a symbiotic monster from outer space, notorious for giving great fashion advice, and well, look at her. She looks absolutely amazing. On top of that, Gwen sort of relies on Venom for her powers since her original powers started to fade. But while that sounds bad, Gwen has actually learned to find a very healthy balance with her symbiote. The symbiote itself enhances whatever emotions the host has, right? So, when she first bonded with Venom thanks to a corrupt Matt Murdock Kingpin, who she was forced to team up with, she was rage-fueled and looking for revenge against the Rhino for attacking her father, and eventually against Murdock himself. But over time, she realized that she needed to control that and give Venom better qualities to enhance in order to control and find balance with the symbiote. In a way, Venom actually helped her to become a better hero, all while still retaining that really sweet suit. Number 5. Anti-Venom. The Anti-Venom symbiote was created when Venom bonded with Eddie Brock after the man was cured of cancer by Mr. Negative. Now thanks to Mr. Negative's healing powers, Eddie's antibodies gave birth to a new kind of symbiote when Venom tried to rebond. Inverting the black and white of the original Venom symbiote, Anti-Venom is now mainly white instead of black. Oh, right, and he has different anti-symbiote powers. His touch is basically caustic to symbiotes and can destroy them with long enough exposure. Anti-Venom can cure people affected by things like radioactivity, parasites, and diseases. And he still has all the enhancements afforded by a symbiote. To make the symbiote even more impressive, Anti-Venom is resistant to heat and sound, the symbiote's most significant weaknesses. After Flash Thompson, Agent Venom eventually lost the Venom symbiote, he bonded with an artificial replica of the Anti-Venom symbiote that he continues to use even after his passing and recent resurrection. Number 4. Carnage. When Eddie Brock was briefly detached from the Venom symbiote, he was imprisoned and his cellmate was none other than Cletus Cassidy, a psychotic murderer serving 11 consecutive life sentences on Rikers Island. When Venom showed up and bust Eddie out of prison, it accidentally produced its first offspring as a result of, get this, Thanos seeking the Infinity Gems out in space. Which is the weirdest reason, but that's actually what happened. This offspring would be Carnage, and it was left in the cell when Venom and Eddie escaped, bonding with Cletus Cassidy through a wound that he sustained on his hand. This meant that the bond they formed was on a blood level, and would be nearly impossible to break. Despite that, there have been other characters that have taken on the symbiote. Norman Osborn was a notable one when he became the Red Goblin and was absolutely terrifying, and I would be silly to not mention that the Grendel dragon had part of itself merge with Carnage to create an incredibly terrifying version of the symbiote known as Dark Carnage that absolutely put up a hell of a fight against Venom and others. And now Carnage is back yet again, and he is reaching a level of power that puts him on the cosmic map as he's constantly upgrading himself with all kinds of tech and magic to be able to face Eddie Brock, who has become the King in Black of the symbiote race. Number 3. Grendel. Billions of years ago, the Klyntar or symbiote god Knull spilled some cosmic innards. Out of those innards came Grendel, a symbiote dragon with a one-way ticket for chaos across the cosmos. Basically, Knull was pulling the strings, using these dragons as his cosmic wrecking crew. Grendel, being a symbiotic dragon, is no run-of-the-mill symbiote. This beast has been on a rampage for eons, smashing gods in Knull's name. It's not exactly Grendel himself doing the stomping, it's more like Knull's puppeteering pulling the strings. Now, Grendel isn't your average symbiote, like I said. Forget the weaknesses to fire and the sonic stuff. This dragon can breathe fire, shoot energy blasts, move at warp speed through space, and is tougher than a steel wall. But wait, it gets even crazier. Grendel can team up with other dragons and symbiotes to form this mega entity of destruction. Grendel is basically the epitome of terrifying awesomeness. Number 2. All Black. All Black the Necrosword is not your everyday symbiote. It's like the granddaddy of all symbiotes in the Marvel Comics universe. Created by the dark god Null, this bad boy is not just some suit, it's a cosmic tool of destruction. The Necrosword was crafted from the living abyss itself, shaped into a mighty sword that makes Excalibur look like a butter knife. It's dark and it's powerful. Now, what makes All Black unique is that it doesn't just play nice with hosts like your regular symbiote. When someone wields All Black, they're basically wielding the power of the cosmos. This thing can cut through Celestials like a hot knife through butter. The Necrosword has been on quite the journey, passing from hand to hand, creating chaos and legendary battles across the Marvel Universe. It's not just a tool, it's a symbol of power and a game changer in cosmic conflicts. Number 1. Venom. Publication-wise, in Marvel Comics, Venom was the first of his kind to appear, and the one that set the symbiotic ball rolling. After being rejected by Spider-Man, the alien Venom bonded to Eddie Brock, a disgraced reporter who also hated the hero and his Peter Parker alter ego. Now, it took quite a while, but after years of villainy, the two became a lethal protector, anti-hero, and eventually just a straight-up hero. Venom is not the strongest of all symbiotes by any means, but he's certainly one of the most persevering. Venom has been tested against more dangerous symbiotes and always comes out on top because of his resilience. He's proved he can conquer the urges of his race and become a force for good. Venom has recently bonded with Eddie's son, Dylan Brock, and they are both acting as a hero on Earth, with Dylan discovering his own unique powers as Codex. Now, long before that though, the Venom symbiote had also been taken in by the United States government, sedated, and was bonded to decorated soldier Eugene Flash Thompson. Now, Thompson's training and great guy morals mixed with the neutered mind of the Venom symbiote gave him control over the alien suit in a way that others just hadn't been able to do. He mixed the symbiote's capabilities with his own skill to become Agent Venom, which was also technically just Venom, so I'm including him here as well, and there have been a whole bunch of other hosts too, but I don't really care about them because they're not as cool.
At number 10 is Hercules. In the realm of ancient legends, Hercules emerges as the ultimate superhero. Born millennia ago to Zeus and Alcmena, his feats defy imagination. At just 1 year old, he strangled serpents sent by Hera, revealing his immense strength. He joined the Agronauts on their quest for the Golden Fleece, but never abandoned the search for his abducted friend Hylas, even at the cost of parting ways with his crew. Hercules possesses demigod-like powers, which includes immunity to aging and disease, tirelessness, superhuman strength and agility, and near invulnerability. Mortal wounds can't claim him unless they're cataclysmic, to say the least. Armed with a golden mace and other legendary weapons, he's a master of combat with the legendary reputation for romance and revelry. And with muscles like that, how could you not be a total womanizer? At number 9 is the Parliament of Trees. While the Swamp Thing is a newcomer in the vast DC universe, I mean, relatively speaking, he derives his powers from an ancient primordial force known as the Green, or the Parliament of Trees. This force intricately weaves its tendrils through every blade of grass, every towering tree, and all plant life on our planet. But the true marvel lies in the Parliament of Trees, which is a council of former plant elementals whose existence predates humanity by hundreds of millions of years. These beings have witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, outlasting even the mighty dinosaurs. Today they join forces with the Swamp Thing, an earthly avatar, to safeguard the delicate balance of our environment. In this alliance, they prove themselves as ancient superheroes, guardians of a world far older than mankind itself. If you're enjoying this video so far, you could support this channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. I would really appreciate if you did do all those things. At number 8 is Beowulf. Beowulf is a legendary Geatish king who stands as an enduring ancient superhero. His reign spanned 50 years before a dragon, harboring secrets of the Holy Grail, brought his end. James Allison speculated that his heroic tales, including the dragon battle, were imprinted in our collective memory from a past life encounter with a mysterious worm. By the way, if you're wondering, James Allison is some dude whose power is to see his past incarnations. Anyways, these stories were later transformed into an epic poem, albeit with artistic embellishments, solidifying Beowulf's place among legendary heroes. But according to Marvel Comics, Beowulf actually survived his duel against the dragon and somehow managed to live into the modern age when Beowulf resurfaced as an immortal warrior, engaging in a friendly rivalry with Theseus. He even joined join a coalition of warriors led by Hercules to confront new gods seeking to overthrow the old pantheon. Beowulf's timeless saga reminds us that some heroes remain eternally captivating.
Number 7. Soldier Boy. Despite the fact that Soldier Boy was stopped in season 3 of The Boys, I would say in the Amazon Prime show that he's still one of the most unstoppable characters that we have. This is because despite the fact that he was neutralized, it actually took everything to do that. And even then, he couldn't really be killed, only neutralized and recaptured. Soldier Boy is insanely powerful, and his newfound radioactive abilities, which in essence turn him into a nuclear reactor or nuclear bomb whenever his PTSD is triggered, make it so that he can easily defeat his own enemies and superpowered targets, as his powers allow him to take away the powers of others in his vicinity. The radiation that he emits essentially burns out the compound V from his target's bloodstream, in some cases killing them, and in others simply leaving them depowered. Number 6. Golden Boy. Golden Boy is the protege of Professor Brinkerhoff at Godokan University. He is one of the new characters we're introduced to in episode 1 of Gen V. He's basically the Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch of The Boys television series. He can flame on, engulfing himself in flames, which he's also invulnerable to, basically like a better Lamplighter. Like Lamplighter, Golden Boy's Luke happens to be extremely gifted in using his abilities. He also possesses super strength and super durability. Like Lamplighter, he isn't reliant on an external fire source, being able to produce his own flames, which he can then manipulate and use as a weapon. Number 5. Queen Maeve. Queen Maeve is one of my favorite characters from The Boys. She is extremely strong and powerful, a character inspired by DC's Wonder Woman. Why do I feel like she is so unstoppable? Because when she puts her mind to something, she truly is. Maeve may not have been with The Boys at the beginning of the Amazon Prime adaptation, nor at the beginning of her story in the comics, but at the end of the day, she does end up turning on Homelander and Vought to join them. In the comics, she gives her life to help save Starlight, and in the Amazon Prime series, she does one better, sacrificing herself in an effort to defeat the loose cannon Soldier Boy. She succeeds in neutralizing him and ultimately survives, although the public is left to believe that she is dead. Free from her former life as a hero, as she is now depowered, Maggie Shaw is able to hang up her crown and her cape, if you will, and retire, planning to live out her life under the radar. Because obviously if Homelander knew that she was alive, probably wouldn't be so good. Number 4. Starlight. Starlight is definitely one of the most determined characters that we have in The Boys. She doesn't give up no matter what, even if she's being severely mistreated by the members of her team. Annie January is determined as a character both in the comics and in the Amazon Prime series, and will do whatever is necessary to protect those that she loves and defeat those who are corrupt and evil, attempting even to expose them. Seriously, Annie is one of those brilliant and fearless individuals that you want to have on your side in The Boys universe. She might not have the most powerful of abilities, but she's definitely a character who should not be underestimated in a fight. We've seen her use them to do some pretty cool stuff. Especially if you happen to have caused harm to those she loves or be threatening to do that, then I would really watch out. Number 3. Homelander. Obviously this list would not be complete without Homelander. Homelander has up until this point been one of the main characters and main antagonists of The Boys Amazon Prime series. In the comics, he is believed to be the main antagonist, the one that Billy Butcher will stop at nothing to end. Butcher's ultimate goal in the comics is in essence to take out Homelander, but it takes him pretty much the entire series just to get to him. This very fact is a testament to how untouchable Homelander is as a character, and how powerful he is. Homelander is the leader of the Seven and is in essence the Superman of the Boys franchise. He has heat vision, can fly, is super durable, super fast, super strong, and has super hearing and vision. Homelander possesses both X-ray vision and telescopic vision, which basically allows him to see things far away as though they were up close. He can like zoom in on stuff. Number 2. Victoria Newman. Victoria Newman is a politician who promotes herself as being anti-super. However, at the end of the day, she is actually a supe herself, the notorious Head Popper. Her abilities seem to be psionic in nature and allow her to target the brains and heads of her opponents. She can exert her power to cause them harm or to eliminate her opponents by causing their heads to literally pop. Initially, Victoria was believed to be one of the good guys in The Boys Amazon Prime series, but after we learned the truth of her identity, it was revealed that she was also working closely with Vought director Stan Edgar, who was also her adoptive father, to advance their own agenda. Ever since she first appeared in the series, Victoria has been gaining more and more supporters, influence, and power, making deals with supes behind closed doors and non-supes alike to advance her own agenda. It's believed in season 4 that she will become the new main antagonist of the series. Number 1. Billy Butcher. Billy Butcher is definitely one of the most determined characters in the entirety of the Boys franchise and cast. He is the main protagonist and leader of the Boys group, aiming to take out as many Supes as possible on his way to Homelander, whom he initially wants revenge against as he blames him for the loss of his wife. In the Amazon Prime series, his character is a little bit more nuanced. Here, it isn't just the loss of his wife that he wants revenge for, as we later learn that she actually survived her encounter with Homelander, had his child, and has been living in secret so that she could raise their son Ryan, with the Boys' existence also being kept a secret from Homelander. So after all that comes out, things kind of change a bit, but really, I feel like Butcher just kind of wants to like burn everything down. And he's very good at making sure that happens usually. So yeah. Number 10. Anti-Monitor. Anti-Monitor is a supremely powerful villain who threatened the very existence of the multiverse during the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. He controls the antimatter universe, and his very existence is deeply tied to the destruction of all things. So much so that even after the Anti-Monitor was defeated, Nekron ended up trapping the Anti-Monitor's body. It was later revealed in Blackest Night that Nekron had basically been using Anti-Monitor's corpse as a source of power for the Black Central Power Battery. So yeah, even in death he's scary. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, please, please, please be sure to show us that you love us by clicking that like button and coming back. Come on back. Number 9. Rotath of Lemuria. Rotath of Lemuria is a prominent figure in the stories from the Hyborian Age. Rotath made his debut in Conan the Barbarian issue number 37, which was published in the 70s during the peak, I would say, of the sword and sorcery genre. The king of Lemuria was scared of Rotath's power, understandably so, as many magic users back in those days of these comics tended to be pretty evil, which Rotath also was. So he hired Kull to defeat and kill him. However, as he was dying, Rotath cursed both the king and Kull and cast a spell so that he could return. He didn't just return too, he came back with a gold body. Number 8. Grail. Grail was born on the same day as Wonder Woman, who is believed to be a few millennia old based on Amazon history, and considering when the Amazons left man's world and how long after that Diana was brought into their world as Hippolyta's daughter. Though that still means that she's likely considerably younger than her father, who is also super old. Grail, the daughter of Amazon assassin Myrna and Darkseid, is the offspring of one of the most feared villains of the DC universe. That's right, we're talking about Darkseid. Darkseid is known for being a powerful adversary to all major superheroes, I'd say, but especially the Justice League. He's a master strategist, he's incredibly strong and durable, and additionally he of course has his Omega beams that he can use to destroy his enemies, or I guess displace them through time.
At number 7 is Naboo the Wise, recommended by Rodney Lindsay 849. Thank you very much for commenting this suggestion. Naboo the Wise is an ancient cosmic entity which arrived on Earth eons ago, aligning with the Lords of Order to combat universal chaos. His essence now resides in the Helmet of Fate, empowering those who take on the mantle of Dr. Fate. Which means that Dr. Fate's origins stretch over 10 billion years, rooted in the eternal struggle between the Lords of Order and Chaos. On the world of Celia, they were the first sentient beings, incarnations of magic, and around 3,500 years BCE, one lord, Naboo, descended to Earth advising Egyptian pharaohs. Naboo's powers forged potent artifacts like the Scarab of Ka'efri, hidden for millennia. His greatest creation, the Amulet of Anubis, became a sanctuary for the Lords of Order. During the Ramses' reign, Naboo served as a royal advisor and encountered the Spectre. He also harnessed nth metal from a crashed starship to create the Claw of Horus. Weakened, he entered into a millennia-long trance, awaiting his return to battle. At number 6 is E-Man, who was suggested by Paul Cooper 3611. Thank you very much. E-Man is a peculiar hero born from the cosmic crucible who exemplifies the enduring allure of unconventional superheroes. Created during a bygone era of comics, he pulsates with a distinct charm. You see, E-Man is born out of pure energy, and as E-Man traversed galaxies, absorbing wisdom from the cosmos, eventually he landed on Earth, where he embraced the guise of Alex Tron, with his insignia being a nod to Einstein's famed equation. In a twist of fate, E-Man met Nova Kane, a dancer and scholar who'd soon join him as a radiant partner. Together they faced cosmic threats with powers that defied physics. Energy blasts, shapeshifting, guys, the imagination was unbound here. Yet Nova's powers are ebbed and flowed, a testament to their ever-changing narrative. Their adventures weren't complete without Teddy Q, a koala with surprising intellect. Now, although this comic series was short-lived, E-Man has been touted as one of the funniest superheroes of all time. Am I the only one who wants a reboot, but this time with an E-girl at the helm? Just me? At number 5 is Mama Ragan, who was also recommended by Rodney Lindsay 849. Thanks again. In the realm of ancient superheroes, the Wizard, once a thunder god, stands as an unyielding figure. He joined the mystical circle of eternity, and as the Wizard, he punished Earth's transgressors. After Black Adam's devastation, he sought a successor, ultimately choosing Billy Batson. Despite Billy's obviously flawed nature, the Wizard saw potential and passed on his powers, creating Shazam, a force of super strength and flight. The Wizard's tale illustrates that even in the most ancient of times, new heroes can emerge from unexpected sources. At number 4 are the Eternals. The Eternals were forged by the enigmatic Celestials a million years ago, and they stand as ancient superheroes beyond the grasp of mortality. These extraordinary beings, often lurking in the shadows of humanity, exist to safeguard our very species. With powers beyond comprehension, their mysterious existence is marked by reincarnation, emerging anew after each demise. Following grueling civil wars, the Eternals chose a path of harmony and self-improvement, exemplified by their ability to converge into the formidable Unimind. This collective consciousness showcased their immense potential when united. Spanning epochs, they constructed magnificent cities, including Olympia, their current haven. A peculiar connection with the Olympian gods once saw them as Earth's divine representatives, forging an extraordinary alliance. Yet, turmoil always plagued them, eventually leading to madness and self-destruction. Now resurrected and slowly finding their way back to tranquility, these ancient superheroes persevere to this day. And number 3 is Martian Manhunter. The Martian Manhunter, also known as J'onn J'onzz, is one of the last living members of the Martian race, and one of the oldest characters in DC Comics. His age is estimated to be north of 225 million years, an unimaginable span considering human lifespans. J'onn J'onzz only made it to Earth recently thanks to a failed experiment, but he had been living in isolation on Mars for untold eons. A calamity about 1 million years ago wiped out nearly their entire civilization, leaving him as a solitary sentinel of his kind. His shape-shifting abilities, telepathy, and superhuman strength make him a formidable force, and his longevity adds to his aura of invincibility. At number 2 is Red Sonja. Originating as a supporting character in Conan Barbarian series, Red Sonja swiftly rose to prominence on account of her unwavering resolve and unmatched swordsmanship. With a tragic past as her backdrop, she swore vengeance and embarked on a relentless quest for justice. Marvel Comics chronicled her adventures until 1986, followed by Dynamite Entertainment's ongoing run. Red Sonja's story underwent transformations, notably in a 2013 reboot, emphasizing empowerment and skill development. Nevertheless, her iconic red hair and distinctive scale mail armor endure as her trademarks, showcasing her formidable presence. Red Sonja's indomitable spirit, exceptional sword skills, and enduring legacy solidify her position among ancient superheroes who are truly unstoppable, etching her name into the annals of legend. And at number 1 is Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman's age is indeed a perplexing matter, much like the enigmatic depths of the multiverse itself. Within the vast tapestry of DC Comics, Diana's age appears to be in constant flux, as if she's a paradoxical embodiment of both youth and antiquity. Her lineage traces back to the mythical realm of Greek gods, suggesting a timeless existence. Yet some narratives attempt to reconcile her age with historical events, placing her birth amidst the ancient Amazonians in 12,000 BC. Now, the cinematic adaptation further complicates matters, proposing a staggering age of 5,000 years. In this kaleidoscope of diverging timelines, Wonder Woman becomes a symbol of agelessness. At number 10 is Thanos. In the realm of Marvel villains, Thanos stands as the epitome of ruthless power. Unlike many intergalactic adversaries, what sets Thanos apart isn't just his immense strength, but the brutal lengths he'll go to accomplish his goals. Comparisons to Darkseid or Galactus don't even encapsulate this unique malevolence. Thanos isn't merely a conqueror. He's a sadistic force, destroying entire civilizations without flinching. His atrocities range from wiping out innocent lives across galaxies to unleashing nuclear devastation on his own homeworld, Titan. His cruelty extends even to his own family, eliminating his parents, inflicting excruciating torment on Gamora and Nebula, his children, and callously unaliving countless other offspring. The Mad Titan's unyielding, merciless nature is what cements his position among the most brutal Marvel villains. The sheer magnitude of suffering he inflicts goes beyond mere conquest. It embodies a dark, unrelenting tyranny that renders him a force to be feared and impossible to stop. At number 9 is Carnage. In the realm of Marvel villains, some are driven by attention, necessity, or the sheer enjoyment of taking lives. Enter Cletus Cassidy, the genesis of the maniacal Carnage. The union of these two characters were born in prison, alarmingly showing the signs of cruelty. See, Cletus had pushed his grandmother down a staircase, attempting to electrocute his mother, and horrifically unalived his mother's dog, and that was just the beginning. Upon bonding with the symbiote in prison, turning into Carnage, Cassidy's malevolence, he became a frightful adversary for Spider-Man. Carnage embodies the true essence of a remorseful-less villain, capable of unthinkable acts without a second thought. His disregard for life towards literally anyone who crosses his path makes him an unnerving threat. This character's unbridled brutality and unpredictability sets him apart, making him a nightmare not just for Spidey, but anyone unfortunate to face him. If you're enjoying this video so far, you could support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. I would really appreciate it if you did. At number 8 is Kang the Conqueror, a formidable force in Marvel's villainous realm. He embodies the essence of unyielding power and strategic brilliance. This figure, hailing from a distant future, stands as a testament to relentless domination. His insatiable thirst for conquest and war has shaped his identity. Clad in battle-ready armor, Kang doesn't merely orchestrate conflicts, he actively engages in the fray, demonstrating his prowess as a skilled combatant. He targets the Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, not merely for conquest, but to prove his superiority. His elaborate schemes serve as a testament to his cunning intellect, yet at his core, Kang relishes combat. He's not merely about outsmarting his adversaries, he craves the raw thrill of testing his strength against the best. Kang's relentless pursuit of victory and the unyielding desire to assert his dominance make him an uncontainable force, a figure whose brutal prowess remains an unrelenting threat to all who oppose him.
Number 7. Skrulls. The Skrulls have been a part of the comic book universe for a long time, and while some of them have become heroes in recent years, they were initially introduced as villains. In the second issue of Fantastic Four, they were portrayed as an alien race with designs for world domination, hoping to conquer Earth by infiltrating it and basically posing as the Fantastic Four, committing evil deeds. Their goal was to discredit the Fantastic Four and have the FF's own national government and military capture and eliminate them. See, because then Earth would have no protectors and they'd be able to take it for themselves. Look, this was early days of comics, so everyone else wasn't really as prominent yet. However, the FF managed to capture the Skrull impersonators and posed as them instead, causing the Skrull leader to call off the invasion. They did a little switcheroo there. They were like, we see your plan and we will do it, but we will do it better. In the end, the Skrulls who posed as the FF were left behind and took the form of cows, living in apparent peace on the planet's surface, but isolated from their homeworld and of course their people. Although they didn't seem to mind, I think they were pretty happy as cows. As we saw alluded to in the MCU's Secret Invasion, Skrulls can actually live for hundreds of years, and in the comics their empire has existed for tens of millions of years. Despite them losing that battle though, the Skrulls would not give up on Earth and years later would almost claim it for themselves during the comic book Secret Invasion event, where they were led by the Skrull Queen, Baranki. Number 6. Darkseid. Darkseid is a powerful and formidable villain in the DC Comics universe, ruling over Apokolips with an army of loyal soldiers known as the Parademons. Despite facing challenges and battles against numerous heroes and villains, Darkseid has managed to defeat many of them, including seemingly defeating the entirety of the Justice League on multiple occasions. What sets Darkseid apart from other villains is his sense of inevitability and unstoppable power. This is illustrated by the catchphrase "Darkseid is," which has become iconic in comic book history and was coined by Grant Morrison. The phrase "Darkseid is" basically means that Darkseid is inevitable and all-powerful. You don't have to finish the sentence because he just is. He is an evil constant who must and will always exist, a terrifying thought when you've experienced firsthand his brutal power and iron will. Darkseid's immense strength and ruthless army make him a terrifying and honestly unforgettable villain. Number 5. Raquel. Sure, Raquel might be in prison currently, or at least that's where she was put at the end of the Empire event last I checked, but that doesn't mean she is down and out for the count. Au contraire. Instead, it simply means that she's likely biding her time and she's eventually once more going to attempt to do something to manipulate her grandson further into unifying and dominating other worlds, as she orchestrated the fusion of the Kree and Skrull together with the Kree-Skrull alliance. And if I've missed anything here and she's doing something else or she was eliminated, trust me, I do not think she's eliminated. For years we thought she had perished along with the rest of her people when her world was destroyed by